Hello and welcome to the mini talk series on Madras history. Though relatively a new city in the timeline of history, Madras has no paucity of monuments. They are in a range of architectural styles: Dravidian, colonial, Indo-Saracenic, and Art Deco styles. But within a decade of its establishment, it was a simple concrete cuboid that could become the best known landmark of the city, the LIC building. The LIC is a 177-foot building on the city's main thoroughfare. It has great importance in the social, cultural, and architectural outlook of the city. In a short time, it became the best known building in the city as it dwarfed the rest of the town and could be seen from anywhere. Often the ambition of one man leads to the formation of edifices. But for them to become a landmark signifying a city, it's a combination of different factors in play. The LIC building on Mount Road was one such monument. Within a decade of its establishment, the LIC had become the best known landmark in the city. Madras identified itself with this building so much that movies saved pages of dialogue explaining that the actress had moved to Madras just by showing the shot of the LIC building. Earlier, it used to be the central station which had these honors. Chidambaram was a go-getting man with a magnificent dream. Ambition ran in his family. His grandfather, from being a moneylender, wanted a rise in status and purchased a 23 square mile Andipatti Jameen and upgraded his own status to that of a Zamindar. MCTM Chidambaram Chettiar, though being the scion of one of the largest business houses, left aside his conventional business havens, Burma and Malaya. He forged ahead in his own enterprises. By the time he was 40, Chidambaram ran an insurance company, a rayon factory. The Travancore Rayons was one of the largest industrial ventures in South India and the Indian Overseas Bank. Chidambaram acquired a 55-ground plot on Mount Road across the Coombe River. Mount Road was one of the oldest roads existing in the presidency, and the land also had a checkered history with a series of owners and tenants, including the city's oldest Freemason Lodge, a tailor, a publisher, a laundry, and an auctioneer. It also had the history of using piped water from Kilpark and electricity for the first time in the city. Importantly, the plot on Mount Road was surrounded by colonial landmarks like Higginbotham, Spencer's, Cosmopolitan Club, and the government estate. To challenge them and their histories, Chidambaram wanted to build his own. Chidambaram planned the tallest building in India on one of its oldest roads and decided to make the headquarters for all his companies. The building was to be modeled on the world-famous UN Secretariat in New York City. Chidambaram had even selected a name, United India Building. Architects Moulin and Brown were chosen to do this prestigious project of 18 floors. Brown was a war symmetry expert. The world had offered great opportunities for a symmetry architect, and Brown had designed many across the Commonwealth. Along with Moulin, he won the competition to build the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi. But for reasons unknown, they had led the second prize winner to complete it. Building the tallest monument on the region was not only an ambition, it was a technical nightmare. Being close to the Coombe River, its construction marked the transition to concrete columns and pile foundation. The LIC stands on 521 pneumatic caisson piles that run to a depth of 35 feet. 5 automatic lifts were imported too. The bill of quantities looked like science fiction: 1,000 tons of steel, 3,000 tons of cement are estimated to be used in the construction of the building. There was no neighbor or tree that could offer some succor from the sun. The building had concrete walls on the eastern and the western sides, preventing sun's rays from penetrating the building during sunrise and sunset, and keeping the temperature inside the building stable. Glass windows on the south and north gave it enough light without adding to the heat of the building. But surprisingly, this building seemed to have a mind of its own. Unbelievingly, the proposed name, its floor plan, the height, number of floors, the promoter, the architect were not the same from the start to finish of the building. Problems started when the building was commenced in 1953. Tragically, when the building was still under construction, in distant Singapore, a Constellation aircraft of BOAC from Sydney crashed while landing. All the crew jumped to safety, but the passengers were burnt alive. Most bodies could not be identified and were buried in a common grave. Unfortunately, one of them was Chidambaram. A sorry end to a meteoric career. London-based architects Brown and Moulin walked out in a huff for reasons best known to them. Chitale and Sons finished designing the building. Floors were reduced and the design was changed. To add more oil to the existing fire, insurance businesses were nationalized in 1956. When the corporation was constituted, it integrated into one organization the business of 243 different units, Indian and foreign. which were engaged in the transaction of life insurance businesses in India. Chidambaram's businesses also, as well as their assets, were taken over. The completion cost was 87 lakhs in 1959. The completed office building was to become the zonal office of the Life Insurance Corporation of India. The construction was completed in 1959 and the building was unveiled on August 23rd the same year by the Union Finance Minister Morarji Desai. He called it the Life Insurance Corporation building. Even the inaugural function was not spared by the bad luck. The gathering in the opening was repeatedly drenched by off-season showers, and repeated rains greeted the opening of the 14th century building and punctuated the proceedings. Many speakers were halfway through their address when the showers forced the people to run to safety. In spite of the bad luck, the 177-foot building on the city's main thoroughfare, the Mount Road, drew the attention of all eyes with its majestic height and glass facade. The building consumed about 26,000 square feet of glass, which is half a football field. During the Bangladesh War, it was used as a control tower and a surveillance tower by the army to see which buildings were not following the blackout. Sometime during the history, a 10 paisa ticket seems to have been charged to allow visitors up to the top floor. The LIC building was the tallest in the country when it was inaugurated in 1959, but only for a period of 2 years. It was surpassed by the Usha Kiran building in Bombay. In Madras, it held the tallest building's status for almost 35 years. On July 11, 1975, a major fire occurred in the building. The fire spread rapidly from the lower floor to the AC shaft with the sea breeze aiding it. The entire firefighting resources of the city, including borrowed units from the Chennai ports and refineries, and some factories, were not enough to tackle it. The Chief Minister Karunanidhi was attending a birthday party of his deputy Nidunjadi in Chindadripet, but rushed to the site immediately. Sightseers who thronged the site were chased away by the police, but the fire was visible from almost the terrace of every building in the city. 36 hours of brave firefighting with splinters of glass and molten metal falling from above happened. It was hampered by mediocre equipment and a water scarcity. Madras was reeling by one of the biggest water scarcities in its history. As an aftermath, new rules were formulated for fire protection measures for the entire city. Post this incident, the fire services got its high-rise snorkels. At one point, the fire engines ran dry. The government almost decided to let the building burn down. And somebody got a brainwave that the Kuam water could be used to put out the fire. Water lorries provided by the corporation were utilized to transport water from the nearby Kuam, which is just 500 meters away. One of the earliest computers in Madras, then called IBM machines, escaped because it was in the basement and was saved before the fire could reach it. There were rumors of a sabotage because the emergency of 1975 was in process. Interestingly, George Fernandez, the socialist leader, was hiding in DMK-run Tamil Nadu. A WikiLeaks report that surfaced decades later said that George reportedly made a claim to the CIA that it was he who set the building on fire. The Americans didn't give credence to the contention. The LIC is now 70 years old and is frequently used as an advertisement for the towering insurance business under the central government to symbolize their size and stability. But it was an architectural feat when it was conceived and built. It has come to symbolize the resilience of the Madras city.